Okay, guys, once again, I welcome you to my lesson for today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just an indication to say whoever will be catching up on my lesson, just make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified of my future uploads. So remember, guys, this lesson is going to be recorded, and for those who could not attend this lesson, they will have an opportunity to catch up. So, guys, did you see those exam question papers that I sent in the group?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So, what I'm going to do now is to quickly go through the first one, of which, as soon as we are done with this one, then we'll do the second one. So, let's start with question 3. Let's start with question 3. So just make sure that you are able to access that question paper, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have a look. So the question says, is 3.1. In the diagram below, triangle QPR is a right-angled triangle with Q angle PR is equals to 90 degrees. So just quickly draw that triangle. So it's in that shape, and you've got a right angle triangle over there. You've got Q, you've got P, you've got R over there. So they are saying in the diagram below, this is a statement, it's just a one sentence. In the diagram below, triangle triangle Q, P, and R is a right-angled triangle with, this is what they wrote, with Q angle P R is equals to 90 degrees. So obviously, even if we did not have that statement, because we can see there it forms a right-angled triangle, we would have known that the type of a triangle that we're dealing with is a right-angled triangle. What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen, when we are dealing with a right-angled triangle? It simply means that we can use the three main trig ratios. Remember, guys, those are sine angle, cos angle, and tan angle. You only use these main trig ratios when you are dealing with a right angled triangle. Remember, guys, I've explained all of this information in detail when I was starting with this lesson. So just make sure that if you missed those lessons, you catch up on my previous lessons uploaded on my website. So I think maybe towards the end of this lesson, or otherwise tomorrow or sometime during the week, I will show you how to access all the past lessons on my website. So ladies and gentlemen, let's now have a look at the first question, which is allocated 1 mark. So for questions similar to this, which are allocated smaller marks, I'll guide you in terms of how to approach, and most importantly, how to answer those questions. So guys, it says use the sketch to determine the ratio of tan into 90 degrees minus R. So ladies and gentlemen, what is the cream of the question? Is there someone who wants to give it a guess? Remember to unmute your mic, mention your name, give a comment, mute your mic. Ladies and gentlemen, Lerato, go for it.
It's a ratio, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the question says use the sketch to determine the ratio of 10 into 90 degrees minus r, which means the ratio is the cream of the question. Why am I asking about the cream of the question? Ladies and gentlemen, is because if you provide the ratio, then you would have answered the question. So remember, the cream of the question is that weight or those weights when removed from the question, the whole of the question remains senseless or it doesn't make sense. So this is the key weight. You must know what is a ratio, guys. In short, ratio, it's something over something. Another way of representing a ratio is something is to something. This is a ratio, guys. This is what we call a ratio. So the question wants you to provide a ratio of 10 into 90 degrees minus r. So ladies and gentlemen, this is an angle, this is an angle. The question is, under which quadrant does 90 degrees minus an angle falls? Does it fall in the first, second, or third quadrant? Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So someone quickly answer that question, then we proceed.
First, it falls under the first quadrant.
100% it falls in the first quadrant, which means to redraw that triangle and to also specify the angle that they are talking about. This is the angle, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got P there, we've got Q there. So that means angle R is that angle over there, which means tan into 90 degrees minus R. Is it true if I say is positive tan angle R? And the reason why I'm saying positive is because I know in first quadrant all trig ratios are positive. So you've got cast, then becomes cast diagram. So that's why I'm saying it's positive tan R. But now, ladies and gentlemen, is this a ratio? An answer to that question is a big no. This is not a ratio. So a ratio, we know that a ratio for tan is going to be what is it? Opposite over adjacent, ladies and gentlemen. So what is opposite and what is adjacent over there? So that is going to be an answer to that question because it's going to be a ratio for 10 into 90 minus r. So what is that and what is that? So whatever answer that you provide is the ratio which answers the question. Anyone to quickly give us an answer to that question, ladies and gentlemen?
It's QP over RP.
So Lerato is saying is QP over PR, if I heard you correctly. Do you all agree with that statement, or is there someone who is in disagreement to that statement? Guys, are you still there? Is everything in order now? I actually tried to disconnect my Wi-Fi to use my data, but I'm not sure if we are now back on track. my question was, is there someone who's in disagreement with that ratio?
Yes, sir.
Sitle, yes to which question? Are you in disagreement or are you in agreement?
Yes, I'm disagreeing.
So what is your answer? Remember, guys, in case if you disagree, make sure to make your point so that same time we quickly proceed. So what is the answer, Sitle?
Yes, I'm not sure if we are using the right angle triangle you draw there, but I don't think we are given the adjacent.
So remember, Sitle, the angle involved in this case is angle R. So they don't have to say this is the angle and draw it like that. So because they said 90 degrees minus R, so that means in this case they are talking about angle R. So you need to be smart enough to know exactly where is the angle that they are talking about, which means if the question said tan, let's say 90 degrees as an example plus q. So see here, in this case, it means it's 90 plus an angle. So that means it falls in quadrant number 2, or otherwise if it's 180 minus, or whatever the case may be, doesn't really matter. But you just need to be aware that we are looking at angle Q. So where's Q on your right angled triangle? There is Q, which means now you'll be looking at angle Q, which means you can identify your opposite, you can identify your adjacent. Does it make sense now?
Yes, sir.
100%. So that means you just need to be careful of how examiners ask questions. So can you see, previously we've been doing some stuff from textbook, but in this case, we are doing exam type of questions. So examiners will always try to be tricky. But now that you'll be attending more of this type of lessons, you will never go wrong. So does it make sense to everyone now?
Sir, I have a question.
A question, yes.
My question is, how do we then answer this question? Is the answer QP over PR, or do you have to first show the triangle and that it's 10R, all of that?
So this mark is allocated 1 mark. So all of this is for me to make sure that you understand how we get to the final answer. So a mark is only going to be allocated to that answer. So if you know your story, you can straight away write an answer. Otherwise, you can do all of that to develop towards getting the right answer. So if this was my question paper and I was writing exam, I was just going straight away to write that. Not really necessary to draw that, not really necessary to do that, not necessary to do all of this. You just do 1 mark worth of work. So remember, in this case, guys, I'm teaching at the same time I'm explaining, at the same time I'm trying to guide you in terms of how to get the correct answer. So that is why I try by all means to go through all the necessary steps to serve as part of a mini revision. I'm not sure if it was LB, but did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's now move to the second question. So remember, guys, trigonometry, analytical geometry, this is where you should score a maximum marks. This chapter is not really that much complicated. That's why I'm saying I so wish everyone could either join these lessons or otherwise use our previous lessons to catch up, because if you're attending this lesson for the first time, you might get a little bit lost. But for those who attended from the beginning, they do have an idea of how to get answers. So let's now move to question 3.1.2. Listen to this very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. This question is also allocated 1 mark. Remember, all of these that I'm reading here is posted in the group. So the question says, write down the trigonometric ratio that is equal to a QR over QP. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the cream of the question? Write down the trigonometric ratio that is equals to QR over QP. Guys, what is the trigonometric, what is it? No, the question says write down the trigonometric ratio that is equals to that. So my question is, what is the cream of the question?
Trigonometric ratio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cream of the question is trigonometric ratio. Here comes a question. What is a trigonometric ratio, or what are trigonometric ratios that you know? Guys, should I explain this one, or is there someone who wants to give it a try? Because I understand the message might be on the way. But in case if you've got no idea, just unmute your mic and say no idea, so that we don't all wait.
No
Okay.
idea, sir.
So I think
Okay, so guys, make sure that at all times you never forget this. Trigonometric ratios are three. We've got sine, angle, we've got cos, angle, we've got tan, angle. These are what we call the main trigonometric ratios. And again, you can still have cosec angle, you can have sec angle, you can have cot angle. So these are also trigonometric ratios, but these ones, they are called reciprocal. So otherwise they are called the inverse of this. So when the question says trigonometric ratio, they just want you to provide one of these things. So now they are saying, remember, our reference is on that triangle over there. They are saying, write down the trigonometric ratio that is equals to QR over QP. So remember, we are still dealing with that angle over there. So this is my adjacent, this is my opposite, this is my hypotenuse. So let me just write there to say hypotenuse, and then this is adjacent, and this is opposite. So in answering the question, ladies and gentlemen, remember, LB, you don't need to write all of this. You just need to know that these are what we call trigonometric ratios. Trias at all times. Just make sure that when the question talks about a trigonometric ratio, you think about these guys. So these are the trigonometric ratios. So it's more like on the first question, they gave you a trigonometric ratio and they wanted you to give a ratio. But in this case, they've given you a ratio and they want you to provide a trigonometric ratio. So it's just a reverse, guys. We're just doing a reverse of question 3.1.1. So ladies and gentlemen, what is QR? Is it adjacent? Is it opposite? Is it hypotenuse? Let's see. QR seems to be hypotenuse. So it's more like we've got hypotenuse over. Ladies and gentlemen, what is QP? Let's see. There is QP. So it seems like QP is our opposite. So we therefore have hypotenuse over opposite. So which of these trigonometric ratios, ladies and gentlemen, is the same as hypotenuse over opposite, which is what the question wants us to provide, which is QR over QP.
Cosec.
Cosec.
Ladies and gentlemen, an answer to this question is cosec. Let's see, what is it? Remember, the angle that we are referring to is angle R. Therefore, this is cosec angle R. So by so doing, you get yourself 1 mark. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, at this stage, I'm actually teaching you on how to interpret the question and most importantly, how to develop your answer. So to those who attended my first lesson of trigonometry and to those who used my previous lessons to catch up, does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
100%. So to those who did not attend my first lesson, to those who haven't got a chance to catch up, to those who are attending my lessons for the first time, a very warm welcome, guys. My advice to you is that please make sure to catch up on those lessons. Remember, guys, I can only help you if you catch up on a lesson and there's something in one of those lessons that you don't understand. If you say, for this lesson, at this time, that's when you were talking about this, I did not understand this part. Because I've already done that lesson, I can easily explain. Unlike if you ask me about something which is completely new, you might find that by the time you're asking on WhatsApp or wherever, I'm at work, busy designing, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, during weekdays, I'm at work. I only have a chance to do your schoolwork during this time after work. After I'm done, I'm completely done, we can talk about something else. But then if you ask me about something that I've already done, then I can just make time to go through and assist you. So guys, warm welcome. Make sure to catch up. In case if you want those links to catch up, just drop me an inbox via Telegram. So I will surely send you a link. And most importantly, I will need to show you guys on how to use my website so that you make use of its potential. It has a potential to improve your level of understanding. So ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the second part of the question, which is 3.2. So the statement says S, which is -3 and -4, is a point on the Cartesian plane such that OS makes an angle theta with the positive x-axis. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just quickly try to redraw. all of that. So we've got a Cartesian plane represented by the x and the y axis. The moment you see x and y, you know it's a Cartesian plane. So we've got that which falls in the third quadrant. Guys, with the coordinates of S, are you able to tell under which quadrant does those coordinates fall?
Yes.
Okay, 100%. So, ladies and gentlemen, just make sure that if you are given the coordinates, you are able to know under which quadrant do they fall, because the coordinates are represented by x and y. So, you just need to know under which quadrant it falls. So, guys, our very first question, let's quickly try to deal with the first question. So, the question says, before we even start with the question, we're given a mini statement over there, which says, calculate the following without using a calculator. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. The length of OS. So remember, this is your O. Guys, that point O, what do we call that point O?
I think it's origin, sir.
Is the origin. So what is OS?
Hypotenuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, OS is hypotenuse. So remember, if you want to see it nicely, you've got that line, which is a OS, and then you've got the x axis. Let's say you've got the x axis over there. You therefore have a right angled triangle over there with your angle there being angle theta. So remember, guys, the vertical is your y and the horizontal is your x, which means you've got -3 and you've got -4. So you just need to know that which one is your adjacent and which one is your opposite. So in this case, they want you to calculate the length of OS. So how can we calculate the length of OS, ladies and gentlemen? Anyone to give it a guess? This question is allocated 2 marks.
The theorem of Pythagoras.
Theorem of Pythagoras. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the cream of the question?
Length, sir.
What does it mean, Rato, if the cream of the question is the length? So, ladies and gentlemen, it simply means we are calculating the distance. So, that means whatever that we calculate, it's a value which is the distance from there to there. So, as you said, we are using a theorem of Pythagoras, which means OS squared is equals to what is our x value. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Substitute it as a negative value plus what is the y value? It's -4 squared. Therefore, you can punch all of this on your calculator. I'm not really sure in terms of what you guys are getting when you punch all of that. So let's say negative that squared plus into negative 4 squared is equals to 25. 25, it's what I'm getting. So that means square root of OS squared, you introduce it on both sides so that you remove that square root. You remain with OS, which is equals to square root of an answer, which is 5. I'm not sure if I've done the calculation correctly, guys, but just make sure that you perform those calculations and you get the same answer. So I think they will give you a mark for correct substitution, and again they will give you a mark for your final answer. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an easy one. I hope we all got the same answer. So just make sure that if you get a different answer, you just indicate what answer you got. So let's see. That means this is 5 units. So you can write 5 units or just 5. It doesn't really matter that much. So let's now move to 3.2, where the question says, remember, all of this has to be done without using a calculator. So in this case, they are saying sec angle plus sine squared angle. This is now what we need to calculate. So we have to do that without using a calculator. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, sec is a trig ratio. Sine squared theta it's a trig ratio. So what is the ratio for sec? That's what you must at all times know, ladies and gentlemen. What is the ratio for sec?
It's hypotenuse over adjacent.
It's hypotenuse, which is y, over adjacent, which is x. What about for a sine? And also just make sure to confirm for me if that is correct. What about for sine? Not y, but r, because it's hypotenuse. Let me just say r. What about sine?
It's y over r.
So y is y over r. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the same page on that one. So which means what you need to do now is to rewrite that in a form of a ratio. So what is sec? They say sec is r over adjacent. Adjacent, we know it's x. Plus, what is sine? So sine, they say it's y over r. You close, you do a squared over there. Just be careful of that. So let's now substitute, guys. What is our r? We calculated our r. It was 5. What is x? X is negative 3. Plus, what is our y? There it's our y. It's negative 4 divided by what is our r? Our r is 5. We calculated it. So your next step, ladies and gentlemen, you can just take out this, you can take it out of brackets. There's invisible 1 over there, so it's more like invisible 1 multiplying by that is the same thing as negative 5 over 3. So now remember that outside squared, it square both negative 4 and again it squares that 5. Remember from the maths basic rules. So what is that? What is negative 4 squared and again what is 5 squared? I think this gives us positive 16, and I think that one it gives what is it, 25. So this is the same as, let me maybe say it's the same as 16 over 25 minus 5 over 3. So I've just rearranged it in order such that I started with a positive number, then followed by that negative number. So I'm not sure if you guys know that to deal with this type of ratios, you just multiply that by that, which means you say 25 multiplied by 3, then from there you multiply that and you multiply that. So that means it's 16 multiplied by 3, the sign is minus, then it's 25 multiplied by 5. So you can just multiply that by that. What is it? I think 16 multiplied by 3 is 48. What is that? 25 multiplied by 5, it's minus 125 divided by 25 times 3, this is 75. So what is 48 minus that? So let's see, 48 minus 125, it's equals to 77. So that means the final answer to this question is actually a negative 77 divided by 75. So this is the final answer to that question. Guys, did that make sense to everyone, or is there someone who's got a question? Question?
Sir, maybe if you punch all of this in a calculator, then you get the final answer. Is it correct, or I will
Okay,
be wrong if I do like that?
So not that you will be wrong, but you just need to be careful in terms of at what stage do you punch it on a calculator, because an instruction was that do not use a calculator. So very, very much important. Make sure that you show that step, and again you show that step where you substitute, and again you show that step. Then this is what you can punch on your calculator. Then you will get a mark for your final answer. So if this question is allocated 3 marks, of which it is indeed allocated 3 marks, so you are most likely to score your mark on this step where you substitute correctly, and again this step where you simplify all of that, you'll get a mark. Then your last mark will be your final answer. So all of this that I did is not allocated any marks, and it's just to show that you understand mathematics and you just followed the correct procedure to get to that final answer. But you are going to get full marks. So in this game, you just need to be aware of exactly which steps are allocated marks. Make sense? Did I answer your question?
Sir, thank you.
100%. So guys, just make sure that at this stage, in case if you are a little bit lost, you watch this lesson over and over again. But before you do that, make sure that you've attended my first lessons on trigonometry, because everything is actually based on that lesson. So let's move on to question 3.3, which says determine the following without using a calculator. So there we've got cosec 45 degrees. All of these over sine of 90 degrees multiplied by tan of 60 degrees. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So it's more like we just need to simplify the whole of this. But firstly, you need to know what is the ratio for cosec. And again, remember, can you see we are dealing with special angles. You remember those special angles, guys? I think we had 30 degrees, we had 60 degrees, and we had 45 degrees. And we said all of these are special angles. I'm not sure if you guys still remember, but can we quickly redraw those special angles? What are those, guys? Let's say we've got these, and we have, let's say, 60 there, we have 30 there, we have that, and again we make this one of 45. Let's say we have 45 there, and we have 45 there. So guys, what is that one? What is number one? What is number two? And what is number three? On 45, what is one? What is two? What is three? Do you guys still remember the special angles?
So for 45, number one it's 1,
Mm-hmm.
and number 2 it's also 1, and number 3 is square root of 2.
And then this one, what is number one?
Number 1 is square root of 3.
Square root of 3. What is number two?
Number 2 is 2,
What is number 3?
and number 3 is 1.
Number 3, it's 1. So guys, just make sure that is correct. And again, just make sure that somewhere you draw that. So let's now answer the question. So that means because you are dealing with the special angles, you need to know these special angles. So what is the ratio for cosec?
So I think we made a mistake in the first triangle.
Correct it.
At the top side it's supposed to be 30 degrees, and at the bottom it's supposed to be 60.
So remember, Lerato, whichever way or wherever you put an angle, we just need to remember that 30, if we are referring to 30, then adjacent for 30 is whatever, 60 is whatever, because this angle, I mean, that triangle can still be rotated in a direction such that you have 30 at the bottom, but it's fine. Let's just do it in the way that is mostly drawn. So let's say this is how it is. So guys, just make sure that everything is correct over there. So what is the cosec ratio, or what is the ratio for that trigonometric ratio of cosec? What is the ratio for cosec?
1 over sine.
So someone says it's 1 over sine. Okay, it's fine. Let's say it's 1 over sine. It is therefore going to be 1 over sine 45 degrees. So because already we've got a ratio there, let's just okay, let me just do that over the bigger over and put maybe this inside the brackets. So what is sine 90 degrees, guys? Is there someone who knows what is sine 90 degrees?
1.
So sine 90 degrees, it's 1. So you can still punch it on a calculator and see what you're getting. Multiplied by what is tan 60, guys. So when it comes to tan 60, you just need to check the angle between these two triangles, which has 60. So it has 60, that one, then you can forget about that 30 degrees and say, you know, tan is opposite over adjacent. So what is opposite of 60 and what is adjacent of 60? It seems like a square root of 3 over 1. I'm not sure if you guys agree or you are able to see that. So there is the angle 60. This is opposite. This is adjacent. So this thing, it's more like we now have what is the ratio for sine?
It's 1 over square root of 2.
So whoever said the ratio for cosec is 1 over sine, even if you said the ratio for that is what is it, guys? Opposite. No, it's not opposite, but it's a hypotenuse over opposite. You would still be correct. I'm not sure if this is true. This is true, guys. So it's more like it's r over y. So just make sure that what I'm saying over there, it's correct. So that means guys,
Yes, sir.
are we still together, Shreyas? I suspect
Sir, no screen is showing,
the
sir.
screen is off, ne?
Yes, sir. It's at the
Is
back,
is it
sir.
okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So I was trying to explain to say, do you guys agree that all of this is actually the same as square root of 3, because it's actually 1 multiplying square root of 3 over 1. So this is the same as square root of 3, and this is just 1. So it's more like we have a 1 over sine 45 degrees divided by square root of 3. I'm not sure if you guys agree with me on that statement, or otherwise if you understand.
Sir, don't we get a undefined answer if we divide by a root number, whatever?
No, so remember, I think you only get an undefined number if you divide by 0. So I think if you say, if you type anything, any number or any letter, and you divide by 0, that's when you get undefined. Let's say 8 divided by 0. It's undefined, or it's error. But square root of 3 or square root of whatever, this is not 0, but it's a number. It has a decimal. So let's see, square root of 3 in decimal is 1.732, whatever. So it's more like you're saying all divided by 1 point that. So it won't give you what is it? It won't be an undefined. So let's see. So now you have 1 over what is Lerato? What did you say? It's a sine 45. So obviously, if we say sine 45, we can just ignore, let's say maybe that 45 there. So we have opposite over a hypotenuse. So it's more like it's 1 over square root of 2. So that means there we've got 1 over square root of 2. Remember, now if you've got a division sign, you can multiply, then over there it's 1. Then you write 1 at the top, you say over square root of 3. So if you punch all of this on your calculator, guys, I think it will give you square root of what is it? It will give you square root of 2. Just confirm for me. Therefore, this is being multiplied by 1 over square root of 3. I'm not sure if there's somewhere we are making a mistake, guys. Can you just confirm for me if what is it? There's something that I want to quickly check. Sine 45. Is it true that sine 45 is 1 over square root of 2?
It's root 2 over 2.
Yes, that is true. It's 1 over
Yes.
square root of 2. If we are using the triangle.
Okay, so it's 1 over square root of 2. Then we say we multiply by a. Let's check. So all of that, yes, is correct. So now, let's see. If we say that multiplied by that, then we end up having I think it's square root of 2 over square root of 3. I'm just not sure if we made it correctly there, but I know we can be able to prove if our answer is wrong or correct. Guys, that if you punch on a calculator, I think this is what you get. So let's test if our final answer is correct. If it's not, then we have to redo this question until we get it correct. So let's see. This is what you can punch. So obviously we said cosec of 45, it's 1 over sine 45. So punch all of this on a calculator, or otherwise let me just write what you can punch on a calculator. Open bracket, say 1 over sine 45 degrees, close, then do that fraction button at the bottom, punch sine 90 degrees, just say multiplied by, put this in a bracket, maybe just open a bracket and punch times 60 degrees. Tell me what answer are you getting. Just let me know if you're getting this. If you are not getting that, then it means somewhere we made a mistake. So I'm also going to quickly check if we made a mistake, but if there is a mistake, it's going to be on those two triangles there, I suppose. So let's say sun angle that into tan 60. What are you guys getting?
The square root of 6.
Can you come again? What answer are you getting?
The square root of 6, sir.
Is it just square root of 6? Is there someone who's getting a different answer? Because I'm getting square root of 6 over 3.
Yes, sir. Me too. Square root over 6.
It's
Square
square
root
root
6
of 6.
over 3.
Yes. Okay. So can I ask you guys to confirm if this is correct? Lerato, are you sure these special angles are correct?
Yes,
Is there someone else to confirm if these special angles are correct? Okay, let me see.
They are, sir, but
Mm-hmm.
they are, sir. If the answer is root 6 over 3, I think they won't give you enough marks.
Wait, what did you say, Sitle?
if the answer is root 6 over 3,
Mm.
they won't give you enough marks there.
No, that one it's not correct. That square root of, what was it? Square root of 3, I mean square root of that over 3. This is not correct. So we will have to redo this question. I only wanted to confirm if all of this was correct. So if it's correct, let's then try to redo the whole of this question. So in this case, let me not ask any questions and try to solve by explaining. So let's see. We are given cosec 45. We are given sine 90. We've got tan of 60. So let's check. Cosec, cosec angle 45. So of course, this is the same as 1 to do that. Can you see on the screen now? Is it clear there for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So I was saying we've got 1 over sine 45 divided by. So what is sine 90? So I'm going to quickly check what is sine 90. So sine 90 is 1. Yes, I agree. Then what is tan 60? So you can still refer to that special angle. So tan 60 is the same as square root of 3 over 1. So what about that one? So you can punch it. Let's say it's 1 over sine 45, which is the same as square root of 2. So the whole of this is the same as square root of 2. Or maybe before I just write square root of 2, let me just explain how is it square root of 2. Remember, it's 1 over sine 45. So let's check. Sine 45, it's actually a opposite over that. Opposite over hypotenuse, which means it's actually 1 over a square root of 2. So this thing, it's actually the same as 1 divided by 1 over square root of 2, which is the same as 1 multiplied by. You move that to the top and this one to the bottom, and that makes it's made by that divided by. That's why you change to minus, then you say square root of 2 over 1. So 1 times that, 1 times all of this, or maybe this divided by 1 is the same as square root of 2 times 1 is the same as square root of 2. That's why I'm saying the whole of this, it's actually the same as square root of 2. So that is what I'm now going to write over there and say this is the same as square root of 2. Therefore, you've got a division sign there. So when you have a division sign, you can change it to a multiplication sign. But before I even do that, let me first explain to say the whole of this, ladies and gentlemen, is the same as a square root of 3, because square root of 3 divided by 1 is the same as square root of 3. Square root of 3 times 1 is the same as square root of 3. So it's more like you've got divided by square root of 3. Therefore, you've got square root of 2. Then because of that division, remember, this is the same as over 1. Because of that division, you say multiplied by, then you write 1 over square root of 3 over there. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen. It's more like you have square root of 2 multiplying 1 over square root of 3. So this is the same as square root of 2 over square root of 3. So here comes a question, guys. This thing, is it the same as the previous answer that we got? I'm just not sure. I forgot now. But otherwise, when we punch all of this, are we getting that?
So, when you punch into the calculator, the answer is a root 6 over 3.
Yeah, so the answer that we get is square root of 6 over 3. 100%. I agree with you on that one. So punch this and tell me if you get that. If you get that, then Sihle, you are going to get full marks. So this question was allocated 4 marks. So that means you must get a mark there, you must get a mark there, you must get a mark there, and again this should be given a mark. So guys, when you punch this on a calculator, does it give you this? If it does, then it means this calculation is correct and this those special angles are correct. What are you guys getting?
The same answer, root 6 over 3. So it's right.
6 over 3. So which means it's correct. Do you guys understand that part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So guys, let's move to the other question. So I wish to go as far as towards the end of the next question so that we cover as many problems as possible. So now let's have a look at question 5. I hope you have the question paper for what we'll be doing. So I sent 2 question papers in the group. So it says in the diagram above, in the diagram below, T, which has got the coordinates of x and 15, it's a point in the Cartesian plane such that OT is equals to 17 units. P, which has got the coordinates of -2 and A, lies on OT. K is a point on the positive x-axis and T angle OK is equals to theta. So I'm just quickly going to draw all of that. So this is what we've got, guys. Do you guys have access to that question paper that I sent in the group, the one that I'm doing now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's see. We've got T over there. This is X and this is 15. And we also have P somewhere there where they say P is -2 and then we've got A over there. Remember guys, this is the origin. And again, most importantly, this is K. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that at all times you understand the given statement. So in short, the given diagram, it's a representation of the given statement. The given statement is represented by the given sketch or diagram. You need to be able to notice that your x value or the t coordinates falls in quadrant 2 or in the second quadrant. So what does it mean in terms of x? Does it mean when we calculate for the value of x, are we expecting a positive or a negative value of x?
A negative value of x.
What about a?
A is going to be positive.
So that means we are expecting a positive a value, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 100%. So in that case, let's now have a look at question 5.1.1. The question says, determine with the aid of the diagram the following. So here comes a question, guys. To solve upcoming questions, can we use trig ratios? And again, what trigonometric ratios do you know? Or which trig ratios do you know of?
It's sine, cos, and tan.
So
Cosec.
the other question is, can we use the trigonometric ratios to solve upcoming questions based on that given diagram?
Yes.
Okay, so that means, guys, this is the triangle, which is a right-angled triangle that we have. So there, we've got the origin, we've got point T there. This is not really a point, so I just make a connection there so that we have a 90-degree angle there. So this can be angle theta. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you agree that our vertical or our opposite is 15? Do you guys agree with me if I say this is 15? And do you guys agree with me if I say this is -2?
Yes.
Yes.
So obviously I got those values from the coordinates. So let's now try to answer the first question. The first question, which is allocated 2 marks, says determine with the aid of the diagram the value of x. So they want us to calculate the value of x, and there is x. I'm not sure if you guys have got an idea of how can we get that x values. There's someone who's got an idea. Guys, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, so that means no one has got an idea of how we can calculate that x. So I just wanted to make sure that we are on the same page. So let me re-explain what is happening over there. So guys, this is what we've got. We've got the coordinates of t, which is x and 15. And again, we've got the coordinates of p, which is -2 and a. You need to be very, very careful of something, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very careful of something. So remember, guys, from there up to there, it's 5. There we agree. But that negative 2, I asked it on purpose if that is negative 2 there. I asked it on purpose if that is negative 2 over there. It is negative 2, but you need to be careful in terms of negative 2 from where to where. So from the origin, which is from there, guys, to that point P, that's where I got that negative 2. So that means that negative 2 is actually from there to the origin there. So this is what is negative 2, guys. So from there to there, this is the x value. Guys, I'm not sure if um, that makes sense. And remember, very, very much important. That's why at all times, if you are given a statement, try to write what is given in the statement but not shown on the diagram. So they said OT is equals to a 17 units. Do you guys still remember this?
Yes, sir.
So that means for us to calculate the value of x, it's more like we want to know what is that distance. This is the x that we must calculate. So based on this diagram that I drew, is there someone who can guess how can we calculate that x value?
I think we must use theorem of Pythagoras.
Ladies and gentlemen, Theorem of Pythagoras is the formula that we can use. Why? Because we've got our y, we don't know what is our x, we know what is our radius. Does it make sense to everyone before I remove all of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to remove all of this, and then from there we are going to use Theorem of Pythagoras. So as I remove all of that in preparation to do the calculation, make sure that if you've got something to write quickly, you can do the calculation. So let's see, we've got OT squared being radius is going to be equals to x squared plus y squared. So OT, they said it's 17. So you put 17 in brackets, it's equals to x is what we are calculating. Then the y value we said it's 15 squared. Therefore, it means we can say this, we transpose, it changes a sign. Therefore, is the same as 17 squared minus 15 squared. This is equals to x squared. So it's 17 squared. Remember, 15 is positive, so that's why I substituted it as a positive value there. If it was a negative value, I was going to substitute as a negative value. So minus 15 squared is equals to 64. So 64 is equals to x squared. Then I can introduce square root on both sides. So square root of an answer is equals to 8. So that means x is equals to plus or minus 8. So between a plus and a minus answer, we have to have one answer which is either plus or minus. So is our x going to be positive 8 or negative 8?
Negative 8.
So it's going to be negative 8 because the x on this side of the Cartesian plane it's negative. So that means the coordinates of t is actually negative 8 and 15. Does it make sense to everyone, or is there someone who's got a question, guys?
sir.
No question.
Yes,
So this question is allocated 2 marks. They are going to give you 1 mark for correct substitution, and again they are going to give you 1 mark for your final answer. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, it gets a bit challenging when you solve exam type of problems. Do not get too excited when you understand the examples that we do when we solve, or otherwise when I take you through the lessons. In exams, the examiner tries to be tricky, guys. There are a lot of students of which they need to be a little bit tricky to make sure that only those who studied, who worked hard, they get the marks that they deserve. So just make sure that at all times, when we do a lesson, guys, try to study a little bit further. Don't just say we've covered it and then you're sorted because you understood what we did in class. Just make sure that you spend much of your time into studying, do more of those. And also, when I say you can catch up, don't only catch up on the lessons that we did in our class similar to this one. I've done a lot of lessons, guys. I've created enough content for you to use and practice. So just make sure that you play around my website or otherwise my YouTube channel so that you practice. So now let's move to the second question, which is allocated 1 mark. So they say determine tan of angle. So remember, for all the questions that we're doing, we determine with the aid of the diagram the following. One of the following, which is 5.1.2, is tan that. So what will be tan angle? The first thing that you need to know is the ratio for tan. So we know tan is y over x. So what is y and what is x?
so y is 15 and x is -8.
100%, which means it's going to be 15 over -8. Sure, yes, by so doing, you score yourself 1 mark. So this question is allocated only 1 mark. Does it make sense to everyone, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
100%. So now let's move to the next question, which is 5.1.3, which says a cos into 180 degrees minus angle theta. And this question is allocated 2 marks. So guys, you just need to make sure that you follow the correct procedure. So remember, you use reduction formulas. When you're given something similar to this, you already know this is not an acute angle, it falls under certain quadrant. You need to take it back to an acute angle, and then from there, you use the ratio using that and substitute. So under which quadrant does cos 180 minus angle 4?
So what was the question?
Under which quadrant does that angle fall?
The second quadrant as well.
So we've got 90 there, we've got 0 there, we've got 360 there, we've got 270 there, we've got 180 there. And we said if it's 180 minus, then it falls in that quadrant. But if it's 180 plus, then it falls into that quadrant. If it's 360 minus, then it falls in that quadrant. So that means this 180 minus angle, it falls in quadrant number 2. So is cos positive or negative in the second quadrant?
Cos is negative.
Negative.
So that means this is the same as negative cos angle. I'm not sure if it makes sense to everyone, that part. So if we are having negative cos angle, then what is the ratio for cos? This is what you do. You have that negative. Be very careful, guys. You already have that negative. So you say into, you know, cos, what is it? It's adjacent over hypotenuse, which is basically x over r. So that means you've got x over r. So you have that negative from there into, what is your x, guys? I think our x, we calculated it to be -8. What is our r? Our r, which is OT, it was given. What was that r, guys? Was it 17? Yes, they said OT is equals to 17. So there you substitute 17. So that negative times that negative, they cancel. You remain with 8 over 17. So this is the answer that you get. So you might be, let me quickly check over there. I just want to make sure that we allocate marks where they are due. So to reduce that angle, you get a mark, and then again for final answer, you get a mark. Guys, anyone who's got a question on that one? No question.
Yes, sir. No questions.
Okay, so that one, it wasn't really that much complicated. So let's now move to 5.1.4, which says sine squared angle. So remember, Shreyas, also here, you just need to know what is the trig ratio for sine. And again, because this is just an angle, it falls in the first quadrant, no need to reduce it. So that means you've got the ratio for sine, but remember that squared. So what is the ratio for sine? We know is y over r, or hypotenuse. What is y, Shreyas? We know y is 15. What is r? R is 17. So you need to square that 15 and square that 17. So what is 15 squared? Let's see. 15 squared is 225 divided by 17 squared. 17 squared is 289. So I'm not sure if you guys are getting the same answer when you punch all of that inside and then you square.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
So this question is allocated 2 marks. So the first mark comes from the correct substitution. Your second mark comes from writing the correct final answer. Guys, does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So the next coming question, it's a little bit tricky. You just need to apply your mind in this case. The question says the value of A. So the value of A, it's exactly what the question wants you to calculate. So let's see. So remember guys, we've got this coordinates of t. What is t? T, we know, we set the x value there, it's -8, and again we've got 15. Therefore we've got p, which is -2, and then this is the a that we're trying to calculate. And again we've got the origin. Remember, at the origin we also have the coordinates over there. The coordinates at the at the origin, it's 0, and 0. So there are multiple ways in which you can try to solve this problem. So remember guys, T, P, and O, this is a straight line. So that line and that line are collinear. So that means that point falls along that. So you can use a straight line formula to determine the coordinates of A. You know that the radius, the gradient throughout is the same. I hope you know that very well. So that means the gradient of OT is the same as the gradient of OP. I'm not sure if this thing makes sense to everyone, guys. And remember, the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, is the same thing. Y that over that, x2 minus x2. So if you use OT, you can use this as your second values and say, obviously, y there is 15, you minus 0 divided by, it's -8 there, minus 0. This is equals to y2, you can use those values. So it's a, this is your y2 minus 0, and then your x2 there, it's -2 minus a 0. So this is actually the same as is the same as 15 over -8 is equals to a over -2. So you can just multiply that and then you get your a. So that means what is it? It's -15 over 8 multiplied by that 2, that -2. This is going to give you the value of a. So the question is, are we expecting a positive a value or a negative a value?
A positive a value.
So when you punch all of this, does it give you a negative a value?
It's positive.
So guys, are we expecting a positive or a negative a value?
Positive.
Why are we expecting a positive a value?
Because y is positive in the second question.
Because a represents the y value. Remember, the coordinates of p is x and y. So whatever written there is the x value, which is -2. And it has to be negative because in this quadrant or on this side, the x value is negative. On this side, we are focusing on the a value, which is a positive y value. So just be careful of how the questions are asked and also how to approach this type of questions. So, guys, I think for now we can end it there. But otherwise, let me just give you an idea of how you can approach the next question. Then we'll just leave it there. I hope it's been a great lesson, even though you might find that you need to catch up, because obviously if you do something then you stop, you might forget some of the other stuff. So next time when we proceed with this lesson, we are going to continue from where we left off. So this is going to be 5.2. They are saying sine of 120 degrees multiplied by cos of 210 degrees multiplied by tan of 315 degrees multiplied by cos of 27 degrees. The whole of that is divided by cos of 540 degrees multiplied by sine of 63 degrees. So this is what they want you guys to simplify. So remember, guys, when you approach this type of a question, you focus on the angles and ask yourself under which quadrant do those angles fall. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just give an example making use of a few. So 120, it falls into that quadrant, which is second quadrant. So you use reduction formulas. So 120 is the same as 180 degrees minus which angle, guys? Is it 60? I think it's 60. So can you see? Multiplied by cos of, under which quadrant does that fall? You know it's 180 degrees plus a certain angle. What angle when added gives you 210? I think if you add a 20, 10, 30. So if you add 30, it gives you that. So you just do the same for all of these, guys. You just do the same. So that one already, it's an acute angle. You don't need to work that one. You only work out the angles which are greater than 90. But if it's less than 90, you know it falls in the first quadrant. So you just do the same for the ones at the bottom. Then from there, you say, if this one falls in the second quadrant, is sine positive or negative? It's positive. If it's positive, then it means this is sine 60 degrees. You are done with that one. You move to the next one. What about cos 180 plus? In which quadrant does it fall? It seems to fall in quadrant number 4. Is it 4 or 3?
3.
Falls in quadrant number 3. So in quadrant number 3, is cos negative or positive? I think it's negative. Then if it's negative, write it in brackets to say cos of 30 degrees. Then you close and then you do the same for the rest. You do the same for the ones at the bottom. Then from there, you look for those that cancel each other. If they are there, they cancel. Otherwise, if they don't, then you notice you've got special angles there. Then you use those triangles, Lerato, of what is it? Did you say it's 30? No, you said it's 60. It's 30 there. And then whatever there. You also do one for 45. That's if you've got an angle which is 45 somewhere there. Then you use all of these to write those ratios. As soon as you do those ratios, then you just simplify until you get to your final answer. Then to test if your final answer is correct, you punch all of this on your calculator, and then from there you check if it gives you an answer which is the same as your final answer. If you get an incorrect answer, it means you made a mistake or something somewhere went wrong. So guys, before I close this lesson, I'm not sure if there's some of you guys who've got any questions.
No, sir.
Okay. Akona, I notice you've been trying to raise your hand. I'm not sure if you've been trying to speak. So, guys, in case if your mic is muted, it's because um on one of our previous lessons I've been asking you to mute your mic and you were not. So I just noticed now that if I mute it from my side, even on upcoming lessons, you won't be able to speak until I manually allow you to speak. So, guys, just make sure that always you take control of your mic. Because otherwise, if you don't and I get disturbed by the background noise, I'm forced to mute it from my side. And if I do, you won't be able to make a comment in case if you've got a question, or otherwise if you want to suggest something. So guys, did you all understand what was explained in today's lesson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so guys, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thanks very much for joining. I'll communicate in terms of our next lesson. So just make sure, guys, to check out that channel where I posted exam question papers so that you use those to practice. So just make sure that you catch up on our previous lessons so that you boost your confidence, because one thing for sure, exam question papers won't be that easy. They won't be as easy as the examples that you do either in class or in your textbook. Just make sure that you challenge yourself and try to answer exam type of questions, because that's what you'll be doing in exam. So just want to remove that fear, because sometimes when you get to exams, is the fear that makes you to make some minor mistakes. So for you to eliminate the chances of making mistakes, you just need to practice more using exam question paper. So guys, have a very good night. I will see you on our next lesson. So I'll make communication in the group.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Andile Spa, did you understand? I noticed you were mute. You were muted, but did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.